Hey everybody, welcome to our afternoon sessions of Turning the Tide. I'm still Alpandia, and this afternoon we're going to start off with tarot with our own Trisha, who is going to take us through not quite tarot basics, but stuff that is going to be a little bit maybe more interesting to people who already have a good foundation in tarot. So go ahead and take it away, Trisha.
Hey there, blessed be and welcome back from lunch. I've just been out pouring concrete and I'm feeling good about it. I love you, Gypsy. I had a good time listening to her this morning. I'm a third-degree Gardnerian with Albie and Spirit in Orange Park, Florida. So I've got that kind of background, but I'm also a teacher at Wolstenstein Theological Seminary, which is an online school seminary that grants associate's and bachelor's degree in Wiccan ministry specifically. So I teach a junior level tarot divination class at night, and then I also read professionally during the day for keen.com. So I love tarot. I've been using it for over 20 years for personal reflection and direction, inspiration. Yesterday I just did an end of year roundup spread that just blew me away. And so tarot is part of my life all the time. So I use it, for everything. Lots of decisions. It just helps me see other things. So hopefully those of you who have used it will resonate with what I'm saying. And those of you who are a little bit afraid to use it for personal use, maybe this will help you come over to the dark side. Because there's a school of thought out there that says you should not be using tarot for your personal use. And I'm certainly not one of those people that will subscribe to that belief. Tarot is important for your own spiritual growth, and today I'm going to present why that is, and also why it works, what it doesn't do, and how you can use it personally and maybe with others if you care to do so, because that truly is the best way to learn it when you're on the spot and reading for other people. But tarot is very important for, it's an important part of learning Wicca and paganism. If you're interested in those, learning the mysteries, the tarot deck has lots of them. So first of all, it shows us the major arcana, which are the big influencing cards that show up in a deck. And they're not part of any suits, but they often is called the journey of the fool. There's 22 cards. And this, if you lay them out in order, which I highly suggest, especially some certain decks will be really interesting stories. But if you lay them out, this can be, this shows you most humans, when they reincarnate, they come back in this incarnation. Every single one of these cards will show up in their life. If you're like my age, you've probably had them a couple times. So reading the story of the major arcana can help you see where the major lessons in your life. So major arcana teaches us about the big picture, where we need to grow. And there's times that you'll get stuck. You'll get stuck on a card. A lot of people have a lot of problems with the Lover's card, and meeting and accepting who their partner may be or may not be in their life. So the major arcana of the tarot teaches us our own cycle of growth. We start with the Fool. He goes through all these experiences in his life, and then he comes back to the Fool, starting a whole new thing. And we can see this cycle in maybe a job that we're doing. It might be a marriage that we're in. It could be our existence with active parenting and how that ends. And then we go back into another cycle of living without our children at our heels all the time. So there's the major arcana. Then we can learn the elements, the different elements that is prevalent in witchcraft and Wicca. and also the tools, the major tools that we use for altar and directing energy. And each one of those mysteries can be seen in the minor arcana, and I highly suggest that if you take those cards out and again line them up, you can see a story unfold. And there's a deck that my teacher told me to use when I was learning the tarot, and it's called the Mythic Tarot. I have this book here. It's by Juliet Sharman Bart, and this theme is what this whole book is about. So like the suit of wands shows that it's all based on Greek myth, and this shows Jason's adventures to avenge his father. So you can see the whole story progress there. And then the suit of cups is actually it's Aphrodite's kind of story, but it's the love affair of her son Eros and Psyche, and how they fall in love and how she betrays him, and then they come back together in the end. So that book is a lot of fun if you want to learn the story of the minor arcana and the energy there. So so you'll see the cups. The cups obviously is emotion and your inner influences and what drives you. And then the wands is more that projective. So Jason, he's fighting the Argots. He's got to get the golden fleece. He's kind of influenced by Zeus. So there's a whole different energy with Zeus and Aphrodite. So you have the different, you have the energy of the wands and the cups and the suit of swords, which is your spiritual connection. It's a lot of mind stuff. And so you can, by learning the minor arcana of the swords, you can kind of get the feeling of what the energy of air and what your sword in circle is for, and how that's to cut space and to connect us to spirit, which is another energy of the sword cards. And then we have the pentacles, which is the plate, the shield. This is our stability. This is our money. This is our health. So in those suits there, you can kind of work with the energy and feel what that particular element comes through very strong in the minor arcana. So another thing that the tarot can teach us, if we want to learn about this Wicca witchcraft, is the zodiac. And I know we had someone on earlier before lunch talking about the current influences affecting us now with Saturn and Jupiter. Yes, I remember. But each major arcana card has an associating planet, planetary energy, and also a zodiac energy. So for example, we're currently, there's debate when we started, but we're going into the age of Aquarius. And the two cards I have on, where are they? That represent Aquarius. Does anybody know? There's two. Usually to have this dialogue going back and forth, and I know we have a little bit of a delay, but can anyone say what the two cards are for Aquarius? The age of Aquarius.
I'm waiting if anybody knows on Facebook.
Yeah, see, I gotta slow down a little bit. I had them pulled out, and I guess when I was putting them back together, I threw them back in my deck. Okay, good. Here I have them. I'm gonna show. Chat. Hey there. Thank you for putting that. Okay, so we have the two cards that represent that energy. Is now I'm not gonna see my camera, so I know I'm putting them up. All right, so we have Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is represented by the Fool card. The Fool card is jumping off a cliff. This is we have rebellion, we have revolution, and the Fool is about doing that. He doesn't care about anything anymore. He has his heart set on something, and he's just gonna go, regardless of the dog barking at his heel saying, you're a fool, don't do this. And he decides he's still gonna walk forward, and he's gonna do the thing because it's important. So we have this Uranus card, but then we have the zodiac sign of Aquarius ruled by not ruled by, the card is the Star card. And I love this card because does it not look like the water bearer, which is the glyph for Aquarius? And it's basically the same energy. This card is, you could call it the hope card. And hopefully we're all, we have hope. There's a lot of changes going on. I listened to Raina's thing on the honey pot and how, the virus and how we're all feeling like we need protection from the energies, from the virus, from politics, just all this change that's happening. And that's all being brought on by the age of Aquarius, because we need this big shakeup. The way we're doing things in the past, that the Piscean age, which was the patriarchal, rule, it has to be blown up, and there has to be a balance. Yeah, I'm not a proponent of women rule at all, but there's got to be a balance. And if you see this card here, she's balancing. She's got one foot in the water, which represents women's intuition, and then she has one foot on the land, which is the stability and the strength, the solidity of the masculine. And she's pouring, and this is an alchemical card. So she wants to change things. And so these two cards teach us the energy of Aquarius. So for every zodiac sign, there's a matching planetary sign card. I keep saying sign in here. So by meditating on these, looking at their definition, whatever you come through intuitively, or if you want to look them up. And I'll tell you, I still look up meanings in a book or online because sometimes I get stuck. I'm always like, oh, this card means this all the time. And I have to remind myself, that's not the only meaning of this card. So sometimes, especially because when I'm reading, I read professionally online, I get timed, it's like by the minute kind of thing. So my clients want quick reading. So I really have to change up my vocabulary sometimes. So I suggest you look it up, get a couple different people's views, different websites, and see where you're going. But I love looking at the astrology of the cards. And finally, the cards tarot will teach you about numerology. And here we go. All right. Numerology. So we have a major arcana number 2, which is the high priestess. She stands between two pillars. She is the bridge between the polarities. So she is all about balance. And I think as human beings, especially as witches, we are constantly trying to find the balance between, we will go this way. Okay, we have to recognize, okay, we're going way too far to the left. We got to come to the right. So we're always pulling ourselves to the center. And that is what the number 2 is about. So this is the major arcana card. So we have 2 representing balance. It represents communication, diversity, and contrasts. So out of balance, we have discord. All right. So this, I'm going to show you the 2 of swords. We have her, and I hope this is coming out okay. We have a girl here with 2 swords, and this is discord. This is, she can't make a decision. You see that cloudy background? By the way, I'm using Robin Wood. This is the deck I'm using. It's a Robin Wood deck, which I love because of the colors, and she just gives more vibrancy to the meaning. So we have this girl, she's in a storm. This is someone who cannot make a decision. And this is a tough spot to be in because either way, it seems like we can't win. And in the mythic tarot, we have Aristeus, who has to choose between his mother and his father. So you think about that turmoil of having just to take sides between 2 parents that you love, and it's just not fair. And that's what that is telling you. But then we have the 2 of Cups here, which is balance. These 2 are deciding that they're going to take 2 energies and meld them together. We have the yin, the yang. We have this, to me, I mean, this is definitely could indicate love, but it also could mean a business partnership. It could be, it could be anything where you're gonna join together. Maybe you and a group of people who want to do a project, an environmental project or something. So it's two melding diversities coming together into balance. And then we have like the Two of Pentacles. This is Pentacles. So this realm is about your finances. I always say, are you balancing your finances? Is your checkbook balanced? Are you putting equal energy into what you want and what you need? Is all your money going to buy, you know, I would say stuff that you like indulgences? Or are you being too tight with your money? Do you always put it in the bank and you're not having any fun with your money? So this person here is balancing, is doing a reminder to us that we need to do this. There needs to be a balance. This also represents health. Okay, Pentacles, you can always put this to your body, and this probably, you know, would apply to us more than money. And some, I say that, but how many of us don't balance our health? We aren't getting out there and moving as much as we should, or we're overindulging in certain things. Or there's always those people that their health is most important and they're so dang strict, you can't go out to dinner with them because they're so flippin' picky, right? They gotta have vegan, gluten-free, anything like that. So that's a reminder, all things in balance, right? And then we have the Two of Wands, and this person here is balancing. Wands is about your passion, about what drives you. This picture here reminds me of and this is not a good thing these days, I guess, but Christopher Columbus in Spain, before he decides to go out, he has this idea. We all have these ideas. We have these things that we want to do. We sit here thinking about it, and we're thinking about how we can bring this idea into our life to achieve a balance as well. I have this idea of, I want to do all these gardens in my yard, but I have to balance the practicality of doing that. My time, is my land going to sustain that? So are my dreams in balance with reality is basically what this card is saying. So again, this is numerology, right? So when you have cards that come up, sometimes if you have a reading and there's 3 2s in your reading and there's only 4 cards, then that's the universe telling you, bang, 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 are you out of balance? So there we have, those are some of the mysteries that the tarot teaches us. It talks about our own human evolution, the tools that we use in our practice, zodiac, astrology stuff, and then numerology. So another reason tarot is very helpful. I'm going to move on to the next topic. Let me ask, is there any questions about that part? I'm going to slow down. I'm blowing through this because I don't want to miss anything. Robin Wood, yes. Oh yeah, I saw that was the auction item.
It was very fortuitous that it's one of our auction items. It's my favorite deck too, and I'm just like, ooh, if I didn't already have it, I would totally bid. And then watching you show the cards, I was like, oh, somebody wants it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about decks in a bit, and it's important to have a good deck. So let's see. So the tarot, the one thing I love about tarot is it's a vessel to communicate with your higher self, your spirit guides, God or goddess, whomever you have in your paradigm is who you want to get information from. My philosophy, this is my own personal belief, is we need the gods as much as they need us. They see the big picture. They're not here in this material realm. They are spirit. They're not constricted. So when we talk to them, they have a better idea as to what the past is, how it's integrated into our current, and where the future is. They need us because they're in spirit form, and they don't get to taste, they don't get to smell, they don't get to feel things like we do. So they kind of live vicariously through us, and we ask them for things. So there's this two-way street. And when you do a reading and you acknowledge their presence and their gifts, but also know that we have gifts too. In that way, you don't feel like you're just taking. So the tarot is like a telephone line. I like to say it's a telephone line. Hello. where we can communicate with them. These cards present context clues. Let me see. I'm going to get another one. Because all walks of life on the past, current, future, all over the globe, everybody has different languages, right? And even the gods do. So how do they communicate with us? They use our childlike brain. They talk to us through symbols and archetypes. So when we get a card, and this card right here is given to us from the gods, this is what they inspire us to select. We have this guy, he's kind of ragged in clothing. He's carrying 10 wands. So that tells us right there about our energy and our passions. And he's bent over. So the gods are telling us right here, hey, you're carrying too much. You've got too much on your plate. You are wore out and you don't have the energy anymore to direct towards what really matters. And how many of us are like this? I see someone like, yeah. So this card here is like, remember, you gotta, the energy is too heavy. You're carrying too much. So anyway, any human being really can look at this picture, whether you live, in Asia, you live on Mars, anywhere, you can see this picture and kind of identify with it. And this is what's fantastic about tarot is spirit can talk to us through pictures. Now, this is a stepping stone. There are people out there, they call themselves psychic, they don't need the cards. They can kind of focus and hear directly and get pictures in their mind. And that's like kind of what meditation is about too. But this is a tool. This is only a tool to help you bridge the gap. I don't want to brag, and this has just started for me recently, is when I'm reading, when somebody calls me, I'm starting, and this is after a lot of practice, and I'm also trusting myself, and I'm starting to get images before I pull cards. So it's like using tools for ritual. The tools, they're there to help you facilitate, but you don't need a tool every time to work magic. It's just a stepping stone. So anyway, this is how we learn to connect to our intuition and to that voice that unfortunately in our culture has been squashed, as children. We're not allowed to talk to things that aren't there. We're not allowed to have invisible friends. And if you see fairies and, your parents, hopefully you don't have parents like this, hopefully, but that's not real. You don't see that. So anyway, we have to, as adults, learn to trust that inner intuition again. And this is how you bridge it. So, so the cards, I say that I use these for personal inspiration, seeing my problems, kind of recognizing the choices that I have, defining my goals. Last night, like I said, I did an end of year reflection. I just had time on my hands and I'm like, I'm just going to look and see. And, I asked what kind of, oh goodness, what I can leave behind in 2020, what energy I can leave behind in 2020, and what energy I should bring to 2021. And the answer I got, and it was just amazing, because what I leave behind is the Knight of Swords, and what I bring with me is the Knight of Cups. So the fact that they were both Knight cards blew me away, because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're really trying to tell me something. So what I feel Spirit is telling me is forget thinking so much about the Knight of Swords is like Gemini energy. It's like multitasking, doing things, always stimulating my brain. Whereas what I should be bringing in for 2021 is things that stimulate my heart things, creativity, my relationships. I forget, is it Steve that did the astrology thing before? Was that his name?
That
He was talking, huh?
It's Joseph.
Joseph, sorry.
Because start the thing, so I get the ST.
So, he was saying how the internet has just exploded this year into technology and So that to me, when I see sword cards, that's the internet. That's all this communication that's happening. So what spirit was telling me personally is in 2021, maybe you should start cutting back on that and start looking at other things, working on like my creative ventures, which I've totally let go, doing art, dancing, not really my family, because they're definitely most important, but so I'm looking forward to that. I got that advice and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to heed it. So anyway, tarot is a vessel to communicate with the gods. They know what's best for you. And that's my paradigm. I don't want to push that on you, but whatever source that you feel that you connect to, that's how they talk to you. So what deck? I love this. This is important. Is I want to ask y'all, how many tarot decks do y'all own right now? You could type in the chat box. I'm interested.
I mean, I can probably see 6 from where I'm sitting, so I know I have more than that.
Oh, you gotta wait for, I see so there's 30 seconds, right? 16. Are you using them? I see you, yes or no? Yeah, up and down, all right. Kasha's get 8, Marla's get 6.
So
more than 20, wow.
So I see Martha's got about 5 or 6. Aria has 1. And Barbara has 3.
Good, all right. I have, I think about 15. So it's one of the things, like I said, I teach tarot, and it's my class. They have to use a traditional deck. And by traditional deck, I mean like the Rider-Waite, or Coleman Smith is what I want to call it now. Pamela Coleman did all the artist work in there and like received no credit forever. So it's her deck. And I have the Radiance. This is what, oh, that's the same card. Can you believe it? Ha! So what does this tell us? Let things go. Anyway, I'm going to shuffle. Anyway, this is the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. And it just has more popping colors than the traditional. Robin Wood, the one that is for auction, and the one I use the Rider-Waite. I use Robin Wood when I'm doing my readings. The Witch's Tarot by Helen Dugan is another good one. There's a lot of symbology that matches the Rider-Waite. And then we have the Mythic Tarot. Even though my teacher had me get that, I'm not a big fan. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it because I'm just not. But that's a good one if you want to learn the stories and the energy of the minor suits. Each major arcana is a Greek god. So that's kind of fun too. We have Dionysus, who is the fool. And then we have the Hanged Man. Oh my goodness, Prometheus. He's the one that brought fire, right? And so how his sacrifice, it kind of works, is his sacrifice for humanity caused him to be chained to a rock and have the birds eat his liver every day, and by night he was rebuilt, and they had to go through it over and over. So it's that sacrifice. That's what the Hangman energy is. So the Mythic Tarot is pretty good. But I do want to say what are not good for starter decks are these fad decks, like the Hello Kitty deck or a vampire deck. And I'm going to show you why, I think. Yes, I am. Okay. So for major arcana, we have this Emperor card. I think it's too bright. Let's see. Anyway, there he is. So the Emperor card is this tells us, this is again part of our life cycle. This is where we embody the energy. We're able to see the big picture. This is Zeus in the Mythic Tarot. He's high up on Mount Olympus and he can see everything. And he's very strategic and he's always watching out. So this is your father-like archetype. He looks out for you. He sees the big picture of the family. He knows where to, where we want to go. He provides our home. Traditionally, he was the breadwinner. And so that's like your father, your military leader kind of thing. So this imagery here, this is also Aries. This is very Aryan. He's even got rams on his throne. Okay, so we can see the symbols of this card, and we see the red, which red is power. It's like that aggression almost. So that's the Emperor of the Rider-Waite. This is the Emperor of the mythical creatures. Okay. So if you're trying to learn tarot using mythical creatures or some fad deck, there's no way you're going to get the feeling from this card that you would get from this, right? So I have students come to my class and they got this really gorgeous, beautiful deck. And they can't read from it because you really have to learn. You really should. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. But in my experience, is learning from a traditional deck with the traditional symbols. Like here's the Fool. Okay, he's looking up. He's about to walk off a cliff. The Fool card is about doing something that you want to do because it feels good and you just want to do it. So if you want to learn tarot well, and you want to see truly how it can affect your life, I highly suggest using a traditional deck that has really good, clear symbols. Robin Wood, I love that deck because it has a book that she wrote, and I'm looking back here but anyway, if you get her book that goes with her deck, she will tell you why this guy, the King of Swords, wears a blue tunic, and why there's stars on his cloak, and why there's birds in the skies, and why every single thing on this card, she will explain why it's there. So if you want to go, like we talk about balance, she's way over here with details. You're like, holy crap. Somebody wrote that book really. Yes. So traditional decks will have good information about the symbols that you see on the card. And again, the symbols are important because that is how your higher self, your spirit guides talk to you. And symbols have a way of evoking memories that we might not be aware of, that evokes memories consistently across cultures. And that's the important part of it. So learning from a traditional deck, I am repeating myself, is just essential. It's essential. Now I have different decks that I have, like I have the Fantastical Creatures Tarot. That's what this is called. Someone gave it to me as a gift. And that's probably all backwards for you. I have Deviant Tarot. Has anyone seen that one? Where are you? At first I thought this deck was like, oh my gosh, I'd never be able to read it. But you know what? I've been, I'm going to show you. I like it because there's no borders. See, this deck has no borders. But it's really a strange looking peoples. The colors are beautiful though. Let me see if I can find the Fool card. But I found that it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too far off from traditional decks, even though the people are kind of strange. Here's the Tower card. So those of you who know tarot, that's pretty much the Tower, right? You got this big erection and people falling off and it's being struck by lightning. So I was using this to read for a while. I kind of got tired of it after a few minutes, but oh, so we had the High Priestess up. So this one doesn't really show the same symbology because the High Priestess, like I said, she's the bridge, and I really don't see a bridge. I don't see the pillars that she's standing between, and the fact that in the traditional deck, she's always holding like a book of mysteries is what it is. So she holds the knowledge of the mysteries. So anyway, that's just another kind of fad deck. Anybody have what's your favorite deck that you use? Does anyone use one on a regular basis?
So there are a couple of people who had mentioned in Facebook chat earlier that they use the Spellcasters deck and the Lisa Delacroix deck.
Oh.
I use the I personally use Robin Wood, and there's another one. I think it's the Spellcasters.
I've never heard of spellcasters. I'm glad to see that Susan said that a deviant is surprisingly easy. It was after you got past the look of it.
Yeah, the Spellcaster deck to me is very witchy Wiccan version of the Rider-Waite, even more so than Robin Wood.
How about compared to the Witch's Tarot? Has anyone seen the two of them? You have?
I like the Spellcasters one better personally. I didn't really resonate with the Witch's Tarot.
I'm writing it down. I'm gonna look at it.
Yeah, Raina's using the Wild Unknown deck, and just got the Sacred Bee Tarot. There's a Chrysalis deck.
I see Mother Peace. That is, that's a goddess centered, and they're round cards. I have a student. There we go. I have a student, after we like get to, I teach him 48 classes, so we're almost every week. After about 2/3, I let them use whatever deck they want to, and she uses the Mother Piece, and that's kind of cool. Wild Unknown, I use that as a fad deck because that is, unless you really have a good understanding of tarot, that's a tough one to figure out. Raina, I mean, how do you like it?
Yeah, I really like it because I already know the tarot. So like when there's a tiger holding a globe for the high priestess, to me, that's enough of the same symbology as a traditional high priestess. And it's like pared down, and I just like the art. Like for me, if I don't like the art in the deck, I totally can't connect with it. So, but I get it. I don't think it would be a beginner's deck.
Definitely. I have Sensual Wicca because I seen one about the different skin tones. This Sensual Wicca is really, I love it because it has a whole different skin tones, and it has like the Lover's card is two women embraced and stuff like that. So it's very neutral. Oh, sorry, it's the Two of Cups. It's a beautiful card. I love that. So it's but this is a high priestess. So this is when I do love readings, I usually grab this, but this is the high priestess. So it's still, and she's in between two candles. She has the book on her lap. She has the cat. So Sensual Wicca is good. So yeah, I hope that point has been driven home, that if you're struggling with tarot, going to a traditional deck will help you get over that hump big time. So one of the things that tarot, a lot of people talk about, and I think this comes from maybe patriarchal religions, is that the tarot is sometimes thought of, oh, you're predicting the future with the cards, and that it's fortune telling kind of things. And while it can do that, because what it does to, in my thought process, is that it does predict a future in a way. When I'm reading cards and I do like a progression of past, present, future, which I like to do a lot, because the past, if the past and the present are kind of dead on, then you know the future is going to be, and then you can extrapolate further and further out. But what I tell people when I read to them is, this is the current energy, that if you do nothing right now, this is based on your habits. Okay, we all have routines and habits, and it's very hard to change them. So when we have someone, I have a client call about, does this person, why can't I find love? Why can't I find love? And you pull cards and you see this, and it's like, all right, this is why, but you can change it if you change the present. So you're never going to find love in the future. Now, is that set in stone? No, it's not. It's kind of set in stone unless you do something about it. And hopefully this tarot reading is going to make you do something about it, because we're bringing to light what the challenges you have and what's stopping you, blocking you from getting what that dream job, that, why you can't get over the hump writing your book. So what it does is it causes changes now, and which will cause a change in the future. So it's, when you pull cards, it's a snapshot right now of the current energy, how things are gonna be if you don't change. So I hope I'm getting this out correctly. So it's not set in stone. So like, I hate to say this, but about 90% of the calls are usually from females saying, how come I can't get this guy to love me, kind of thing. And, or why can't I find love? And it's usually people who, they won't go out. They're afraid to go out and do things outside of their parameters. So as I always like suggest, you can go to a meetup group. Why don't you even go to church and start doing church activities? You got to get out there to find love. Sitting home, you're not going to find love. So also your future can be affected by someone else doing something different. So if you're in a relationship and am I going to marry this guy? And I'm like, yeah, sure. The cards right now, the energies are saying that your relationship is solid. You're going to get married. Well, that doesn't take into the account the free will of her partner. So if he decides to do something that's different out of his norm, his normal energy, this is all energy that we're looking at, then his future is going to be different, and therefore hers will. So that's what I say when people ask if the tarot is going to predict the future. And I say, yes, it can, but then you can do something about it too. Another thing that holds people up from reading is thinking you have to be psychic to read tarot. And I will tell people, like, they want to know when they will get, the second most popular call that I get is, I've just done a job interview, will I get the job? And I do yes, no readings, but I always, want to say, what, I am not psychic. The cards are saying right now that based on the energy of your interview, yes, you will get the job, or no, you won't get the job. And this is why. The card can help explain why the person may or may not get the job. But if they want to know, like, who they're going to marry, what color his hair is going to be, his eyes, that's psychic work. That's not something I can do. So you decide how you want to answer this question, and it's okay to tell someone that you're reading for, so that you don't do that. You can't do that. So be honest with what your capabilities are. I can't tell anybody where their wedding ring is, or who they'll marry, or what their next job will be. But I can give them energetic feelings, like you're who you will marry. If I get, especially if it comes up a court card, I can describe this energy of the person. Again, if you want to know if you're getting your job, well, I can tell you this is what the energy looks like. So that's kind of where I take the reading. And if they want specifics and they're not happy with my generalities based on energy, then I'll just tell them I can't help them. And, I'll give them their money back, even though my bio says I am not psychic. And if you want a psychic reading, then go to somebody else. So, that also hopefully will help you explain to yourself, other people, that tarot it's not fortune telling. Nothing is ever set in stone, because we do have free will. And so the last thing, let's see, I want to talk about is how tarot can be used for other people, because my teacher also said that as if you want to be a full-time high priestess, you want to do witchcraft full-time, then you have to have an income source, and tarot is one way to do it. And what you're doing is, and I was very uncomfortable when I started reading professionally, is I would people would call me and I'd want to get them off the phone because I was trying to be respectful of their time and how much money they were spending. But my husband's like, why are you doing that when they want to talk to you? Because what I'm ending up doing, and I'm finding all the time, is that people just want to talk. They want to talk. The cards, when I pull cards, they're used as a catalyst to start a conversation. When somebody calls and say, why can't I keep a job? You know, we can pull cards, and then that's what facilitates the conversation to say, okay, what are your skills and what are you doing to sabotage maybe your efforts every time you get a job? And this is where the cards help me to ask the correct, the relevant questions in the conversation that will help them to even recognize personally what's going on. And this can apply to ourselves too when we're pulling cards. Why can't I ever keep a job? You know, this card could say the same thing. So if you are reading for somebody else, and I highly recommend reading for other people, because you learn so much faster if you start reading for other people. And when you read for other people and you make it free, then there's this, burden off your shoulders where you have to be perfect. If you say, again, I go back to how I teach, my students have to do 50 readings for their homework to pass the class. And they have to be free readings, and they have to be 50 different people. And so if they go into this saying that they're students and they would like to do a free reading, then you can talk to your clients about the cards. And if they are confused as readers, then they could even say that to them and say, listen, I don't understand how this is working out. Can you explain? Does this mean something to you? Because it doesn't mean anything to me. So it really helps build confidence. And also, like I said, increase your own knowledge of the cards, and makes it a lot relatable, because you always have that situation, that story to fall back on, that you can, oh yeah, I remember the Tower card meant this to Jane the other day. So maybe I can connect there, and then you can use it for somebody else. But the tarot, like you said, is a great way to talk to people, especially like even if you have like a family member who's having a hard time. My mom was struggling for a while, and I'm like, Mom, let me just read your cards. And I got like the Queen of Swords, and it just opened the dialogue to say, you know what, I think what it is you're used to being the Queen of Swords, being in charge. She had a high-level CEO job, and now she's retired and nobody cares. Nobody looks for her for anything. And it's super tough adjusting to that. But the cards were able to foster that communication between the two of us, so I could recognize her pain and she could recognize her pain. So this can be used even with your children and family members that you might be struggling with, as a way to have a heartfelt conversation without them what's wrong, Mom? What the heck is going on? People, when you're asked directly like that, they're like, boom, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. So this is a compassionate way to open the door to that kind of conversation with your family. And again, even with yourself, kick yourself. Why do I feel this way? And here's a card telling you you're overburdened with 10 wands, and your power is just so you need to unload some of those wands. So I think that's about it. I'd love questions. And comments, if you have any. Okay, so someone's here. I'm looking for a deck with people of all colors, sizes, genders. Any suggestions? Okay, Sensual Wicca, the one I showed you, has definitely different cultures and genders. And yeah, look, that's perfect. And I believe that somebody else posted, was it Spellcasters? I personally haven't seen that, but it's noted in the chat that it's varied skin tones. So anybody else have any answer to that? So why do you think you're having trouble reading for yourself? Can they speak? Or?
Hey, hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi,
great.
no, I don't know. I think it could be just me. I don't know if that's something that a lot of people experience, but when like my sister has a question or a friend has a question, I throw out the cards and I'm kind of on fire. And actually I read a standard playing deck, you know, hearts, diamonds,
Nice.
etc. And the Thoth deck, which I actually was the first deck I could really get pictures from, but I need to use a book when I use that one.
That's a tough deck.
Yeah, but when I have a question for myself, if it's, you know, sometimes I get a basic 1 or 2 card and I use it like a yes or no, but I can't actually give a bigger reading to myself. I start to get confused and shut down and not understand what it's saying. Do other people have that problem?
A suggestion to answer that while people are putting yes or no.
Mhm.
Okay, so like, let's say you're doing the Celtic Cross, which is what, 13, 14 cards?
Right.
What, you know, do your spread out. No, let me back up. So the first question, and I'm just shouldn't start with them because I don't use those Celtic spread. So
That's okay. Yeah.
yeah, well, like, okay, I'm going to use the reading I did yesterday. What do I bring forward? What am I going to bring forward from 20 to 21? First, I journaled what I thought. Okay, so I thought about it first, and then I pulled a card for additional clarity. And that's when I was like, holy, I mean, the card, it put into a, like, without words, exactly what I needed to do. So maybe if you journal, because you know some spreads will have, this is what card 1 means, card 2. So kind of like think about it first and then pull the card for additional clarity. Do you think maybe that might work?
Yeah, it could be. It could be that I'm building up anxiety about the issue, because usually if you need a reading for yourself, you've got some stuff going on, right?
Yes.
You know, and it's not just like should I I don't know, like a basic question with a yes or no is pretty simple, like you know, but if you want to know, like, should I sign up for college, should I go back to school, those big questions, I have to get a reading from somebody else. I can't consult for myself. I just start to get confused and not like really get like a brain fog, you know. Anyway, I'm going to go back to mute. Thank you for answering me and your suggestions.
Well, I love the should I go to college? Just 2 cards. What is the consequence of me going back to college, and what is the consequence of me not going back to college? And comparing the 2 energies and seeing that's a real, you know, if you have a yes, the decision like that, it's always what's the consequences. So
the people in chat had said that she doesn't have problems, but when she reads for herself, she tries to put it in the guise as if she was reading for a stranger, which may be easier for some people than other people. I know I have trouble reading for myself because it's hard to take I want the cards to tell me a specific thing out of the equation. So I also posted a question that we got from Facebook.
Before we go on to the question, I've seen and talked to a lot of people that have had trouble reading for themselves. And the way that I see it is that they're getting in their own way. It's like if you're cooking and it's really important because Abuelita's going to be there and it's her recipe, and you're going to mess it up because you're already concerned about it. And you have all these other feelings about it. So maybe doing deep breathing before reading. And I personally, just for me, yes or no questions don't really work for me. I do a little bit like what Trisha had talked about. So I pulled 3 cards for what does it look like if I go to college, and 3 cards for what does it look like if I don't. And I think in that way, you have a lot more information
Mhm.
as to what's going to happen with those 2 different paths and how it'll affect you. Because life generally isn't a yes or no thing. It's the
Right.
journey. You know?
And I also want to say, Pandy, is when you say you have these thoughts that are coming through in your while you're influencing your cards, but maybe those thoughts are your own intuition talking before the cards are there. Because I know that if there was a card that was totally against what you were thinking, you would recognize that. So are you stifling your own intuition and not trusting it? So yeah. Because you don't need the cards. You just let it come through and trust yourself. I don't know the question. I don't see the question from Facebook. Can you?
It says, it was from Barbara. It says, is there a good book or site recommendation to use as a loose meaning for someone with little or no reading experience for self readings? And is there a deck that you would recommend for that also?
So like a beginner or without a lot of words?
Like if I'm gonna see if she'll clarify, but my takeaway is that if it's somebody who doesn't have a lot of tarot experience, is there maybe a book or a website that would give
Information. Yeah.
some good?
I mean, Robin
Yeah.
Wood is what I would start with. Get her book so that you can understand the cards. And then also there's biddytarot.com is fantastic. And there's a subscription-based access to her stuff, but then she also has a lot of free stuff. In fact, I'm using the Biddy Tarot Planner I used it for 2020 and I'm doing 2021. And that's where I got this spread about reflections of 2020. I love her stuff. And if you're not someone who reads and you want more like videos and auditory teachings, and Biddy Tarot is a good one. Yes, and that's when like I said, when I go to look for meanings of cards, I'll go to Biddy Tarot. I just really trust her stuff. I paid for her. That's where I started reading for free before I went to a fee-based system. Is I read for free for Biddy, and they give you an opportunity to do that, and it's a safe place. So that was a good question. Well, hopefully y'all have learned more how useful tarot can be, other than just reading future. There's definitely a lot more to it. There's much more juicy tidbits, lots of stuff to learn from it, and I hope that that you look into it a little bit more. And if you need to ask questions, you hit me up, and I'll be happy to point you in a direction or answer myself. So it's my passion. I love tarot. Thank you.
It looks like somebody in chat also gave Benable Wen. I don't know if I'm saying, I think that's what it is.
Ben, she's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I would choose her for a beginner though.
Okay.
Really intense, and it's got a lot of information, and her cards are beautiful, really, really beautiful. And her book is awesome. You are a total geek like me. Because she goes into all sorts of things that most people don't even think about. I mean, goes into the I Ching, goes into a bunch of different systems, and it's really, really thorough.
Nice. Yeah, I guess the chats are not in sync with what I'm seeing. So because I don't see that post at all yet. And the one from Barbara just posted.
Oh goodness. Yeah, it was on Facebook. I'll post it into our chat, and
Oh, okay. I'm not even on Facebook.
No, you're fine.
Good.
Yeah, Benable Wen.
Wow.
benablewen.com as the website.
All right. Check her out. Is there anything else?
I'm not sure. I'm looking to see if there are any more questions either from our Zoom people or from on Facebook. Let's see.
Doo-doo.
And Martha says the bendable one is a compendium for sure.
I've never heard of that. I'm gonna go check it out.
No, it looks like we might be good unless there's a slow typer. I think that's all the questions that we've got so far for you, Trish.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to, is there a way if somebody wanted like a reading from you, whereabouts do you do your readings?
I prefer if you just hit me up on Facebook, private IM. We can do that. I read for keen.com. They take 50%, so my price has to be higher. So if I don't go through Keen, I can keep it lower. So that works. It's usually about $1 a minute. So if you want to do a 20-minute reading, we can do a 20-minute reading, and that way.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, if there's a way that we can support people in Everglades Moon, I'm gonna try and find it for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You can come to Phoenix festivals too.
There you go. I'm looking to see. I thought I just saw. I think that no, I don't see any more questions. I think you're off the hook.
All right. I'm gonna go back to being a spectator. Thank y'all very much for your attention.
Thank you, Trisha, for this wonderful tarot workshop, and we're gonna take about a half an hour break.
Yeah,
break.
Like,
It's been a long day, guys. And then we should have Mira Selena talking about witches in the movies once we're back.
thank you. God is blessed. Bye.